that you've ordered our day thus far, and that you have kept us in our right mind and given us health and strength. We pray now that as we are gathered in this room, in this assembly, that you will send forth your word to speak to us in our location. Wherever we are in life right now, speak a word that God would empower us, that would encourage us, and that God, more than anything, that we're enabled to be what you are calling us to be. Come now, thy people, bless. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. God for his blessings. Amen. That he keeps on sending our way. I said this morning that we ought to always be in the spirit of praise. Amen. And celebrating God for nothing more than just being God. That's enough. To add to that, just who he is to us. But nobody knows what God is doing for you like you know.
Yes, sir.
And we ought to be able to bless him for all that he's doing. Amen. And we're going to ask now that you turn with us to the book of Judges, chapter 7. When you get there, I want you to say, I found it. Book of Judges, chapter 7. We want to read in your hearing verse number 4. We thank the male choir for their ministry and music. And, amen. Amen. I was telling them, I was sitting there, Matthew was singing. I said, it's crazy how children with no effort sing. It just seems like they're just talking, having a conversation. And he held a note for a little while. I said, now, how he know to hold that note like that? I can't do nothing when it comes to singing.
Same here.
And there is in my presence a little fellow like Matthew that comes along and got the right voice and sing a song. And every one I've tried so far, I hadn't perfected it. But 52 years, I haven't given up, so I'm going to keep on trying. It may take me another 52 to find my one song. I know it's a song out there that I can sing with.
It's coming. It's coming.
One at least. Gotta be one. All right. If you're there, say I got it. If you're not there, say I'm traveling. All right. Everybody have it. I'm reading from a King James Version of the Bible this morning, or this afternoon, and these are the words that we'll find. And it says this, and the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands. Now that's deep right there. That's too deep. That's really deep. It says, lest Israel vaunts themselves against me, saying, my own hand hath saved me. From that scripture verse we want to use for a thought this morning, your numbers are too high. Your numbers are too high. Usually when we go to the doctor and they take our vital signs and stuff, and we have numbers that are way up there and cholesterol count up there, usually the medical person that's giving us attention will come back and tell us that your numbers are too high. He gives us that number or that phrase with an indication that something needs to happen that is in response that would promote helper you, and so forth and so on. Then we look at the indication here is that sometimes it's just too much of something particular going on. When we look at the text, we find that in God said that is too many people. You wonder, churches always talk about a God of overflow, a God of abundance, a God that multiplies. What do you mean that the numbers are too high? Is that not what God is about? Well, when we look for exceeding things, often it is evidence to us that we have abundance, overflow, exceeding numbers. But in order for God to work for us, God doesn't need big numbers. God has always taken the remnant of a whole and said, give me a particular portion of the whole, and I will do extraordinary things. It happens every month, every week, or however your payroll rolls, that God say, you have the whole check, except what Uncle Sam don't trust you with. And the rest remain. All I need is a portion of that, 10%. And watch me do amazing things. It's funny that in our communication in church, more often than not, that when we say things like, we're going to do a gym renovation, it's going to cost us $150,000, and we're asking for your support, that somebody in the pew say, I ain't got no $150,000. Well, we weren't asking you for $150,000. We were asking you to do a portion of $150,000, unless you bless like that and you want to do the whole $150,000. And we reroute our efforts in another way. Now, I'm telling you this because this is my confidence. I know that somebody in this world can write a check for $150,000. Not going to bother them at all. Some folk need a write-off for $150,000. I ain't mad if you look at us and say, well, here's a check for $150,000. Ain't mad. Matter of fact, I would be excited about the fact that you decided to give us $150,000. But here's the other side of that. Most often, we have to check our attitude, I'm going to put it that way, when it comes to giving. Because it's easy for us to do this, but it's a challenge for us to do this. We want to receive, but we don't want to give. Well, those things are related to each other. They're connected to each other. Watch this. If a person, and I've lived long enough in church to see this. If a person is stingy, typically they struggle. If you're stingy, typically you struggle. Because there is something called a law of reciprocity, which means that according to how you give is how you harvest. Now, no one has control over your harvest except you. But the great thing about it is that God looks at our hearts and says, how do you want this to be set up? The scripture put it this way according to Paul. As a man purpose in his heart, so let him give. But if a man sows sparingly, he will harvest sparingly. But if a person sows bountifully, a person will harvest bountifully. Now, this is the thing. I have grown to a place when it comes to finances that I don't worry about that. It is not that I have a whole lot of money, but I just learned not to worry about money. Because here's the thing. If God truly is what Psalms 23 says to me. Now, Psalm 23, I can't change it because it's written. It says that the Lord is my shepherd. Now, if God is the shepherd for Gary, then I have to realize that there are things that God is responsible for that I'm not. If God is my shepherd, he has a responsibility to provide for me. Not only does God have a responsibility to provide for me, but God has a responsibility to protect me. Now, here's the setup for it. If you want to be abundantly blessed, you have to learn to be a generous giver. You got to learn to be a generous giver. You can't worry about how much you're giving out because we sung this song a long time ago. You can't be God's giver. No matter how hard you try, catch the next phrase. No matter how much you give, the more you give, the more he'll give to you. So what we have to learn to do is trust God and stop looking at how the world system works and understand that God has a spiritual system that works entirely different. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This matter. Jan might be more concerned about the checkbook than me. Typically, she is. She might look at something and say, well, you ain't got this back. Or you did this and this is not over here. My thing is, they ain't going to make us go broke. I mean, that little bit over there ain't going to make us go broke. So I have the patience to wait. I get it later. I get it anytime. Her thing is, well,
Now is okay.
I'm like, we don't go broke. I just don't worry about that kind of stuff a lot. God has proven in 52 years, Gary, I'm going to take care of you. And that's why we have to be in faith, that God will take care of us. Now you saying, man, you talking a whole lot. You ain't said nothing that's in the scripture. I have. I just went through chapter 6 with you. That every time the Israelites would plant their vineyards, every time that they would tend to their herds and they would get an offspring or have a harvest, the Midianites would come in. I preached this a couple of weeks ago. They would come in and take from the Israelites. And they would not only take from them, but they would destroy their lands. That, you know, it's kind of like, I'm going to pull up your harvest, but I'm going to let my camels and my animals go through your land and destroy what we did get. They were just that mean. But I also told you a couple of weeks ago that God says because of Israel's disobedience, that he was going to allow them to be taken into captivity. No, he was going to allow them to be taken into captivity. No, God was going to arrange it so they could go into captivity for a matter of 7 years. And you shouted last time I preached this. You said, because I said, that isn't it a beautiful thing when God puts you in the hand of your enemies and know how long that you're going to be there, but not going to let you be destroyed by them. Y'all said amen back then. So what ends up happening is that this is a setup. You have to realize that you have to not lose heart because things doesn't happen the way you want them to happen immediately. That's why I say, folks, a lot of times, we stay in church too long. You spend 6 days screwing up your life. And you can't stay 60 minutes in church before you get tired. We make a mess of our lives, and we want to do a drive-through so that God can pass our order out quick, and we move on. I don't know if you know this or not, but have you ever had cords that you didn't wrap right? And when you got ready to use them, it took you a long time to untangle them. When you go through the week and you ain't wrapped right, when you come to church on Sunday morning, it takes more than a drive through to untangle all that mess you got going on. So we have to give God time to work our stuff out. This is what I said this morning about prayer, and I need y'all to hear this. We spend an hour with a laundry list of things that we want God to do. We'll pray for a whole hour. And we brag about it, man, I prayed a whole hour. Look at your whole hour. Your whole hour was about your deliverance, about your healing, about your salvation, about what you needed God to fix, what boss at work you need God to change, what person in your life you need God to shape the way you want them to be. And when you get through, you say amen. That ain't no conversation with God. If you're going to pray for an hour, listen for 30 minutes. Give God a chance to talk back. Now, how did you come up with that conclusion, man? Because David said, in your law that I meditate day and night. We need to have a time of prayer that we're meditating about God, listening to God, rather than always talking and then walking away. You know how we do prayer, amen, get up, we move. Now, imagine having a conversation with me. You say everything you want to say, and you get up and walk out the room. I'm sitting there looking like, huh? You came to be heard. And when you talk, and don't wait for commas and periods and semicolons and colons. That's where you want to jump in at. Be willing to listen as much as you are talking. I'm talking about healthy prayer life. Sometimes I go into prayer with nothing but silence. I just go and sit. A lot of times in the day, I'll leave my office and come up here and sit down, and I have nothing to say. And sometimes I do have something to say, but I choose to be quiet and just sit in God's presence. Because I need to know from him, what is it? You already know I'm in a mess. What do you need me to do about this? I got church folk all over me. What do you want me to do? How do you want me to do it? I can't please everybody. They want me to. I don't want to be schizophrenic either trying. So God, what do you want me to do? I hope I'm making sense. So what has happened is that in still chapter 6, Israel had decided that we're going to cry out to God. And God has heard their prayer. And this is what God says. I'm going to choose Gideon to go and save my people because their prayers have come up to me. I want you to know that that was a rehearsal of what we've already preached. That every time you pray, you need to have the confidence that God has heard you. Even though you may be praying the same thing, you need to know that when you pray, God does hear.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes your answers just take a little while to get there. But when has God answered you? The first day you prayed. That's what he tells Daniel. 21 days ago, you started calling on me. I sent an angel. I got caught up in the air because the devil's saying, I know I can't stop you, but I'll hold you up a while. And maybe you'll get tired and you'll just say, just let it be. And that's what happens with us. We pray, we get tired of waiting, we move on. And God said, no, I heard you. And when he gets to Daniel, he confirms to Daniel, I heard you the very first day that you prayed. Now that's exciting to me to know that not only did he hear me, but he answered the first day, but the devil has been trying to prevent my answer from getting to me. Israel prayed. It doesn't tell us how long they prayed in chapter 6, but it tells us that they did pray and God heard. And when he gets to Daniel, get to Gideon, he lets Gideon know that my children have been praying and I have answered, but you are the answer. Gideon tells God, I'm the answer. What? Yeah, you're going to go in and save my people. They're going to be delivered by you. Gideon tells God, who, me? Because this is most of our problem. Gideon say, me? Man, I'm the least among my people. I am from the tribe of Manasseh. The Israel is made up of 12 tribes. I'm from the tribe of Manasseh. And I am an impoverished family. God said, okay, I knew that. Okay, you still gonna go. What you need to know about that kind of thing is that when God chooses you, he already knows the baggage that comes with you. God already knows your baggage. I said this a couple of weeks ago. One of the things that gave me the confirmation about preaching was that my big mama, I had been wrestling about, should I preach or should I not preach? Should I preach? Should I not preach? And I was telling God, man, I can't preach, man, because you obviously don't know me. I got a jacked up life and it's been jacked up for a while. I've been doing all manner of things, man. You need to know my story, God. And one day I was at the hospital, state hospital where I work, and I was there, and I went into like a dream or a trance. My grandmother had moved the seat, was sitting in her bedroom, and I was sitting in her bedroom with her, because often that's what we talk. And she said to me, listen, boy, God's trying to get your attention. I said, Grandma, listen, I got all this mess going on, and I can't preach because you got to know my past. My grandma said to me, baby, you don't think God already knew that when he called you? And that's been a lesson to me for life, that when God calls us, we often want to tell God why we can't, but God said, I know that, but I still want to use you. And we have to be more willing to accept the responsibility that God is trying to give us or share with us. Now, all of that said, God says in chapter 7, that's why I want to hear. God says in chapter 7, he says that we have Gideon has gathered himself together with the Midianites. They are there by the well of what? Haran. He's there. Now he goes on to say there that not only is Gideon with the people there, and they pitched camp, but also that the Midianites are by the hill of Moreh in the valley. Now you may say in reading, that don't mean anything. You ready to say it? That don't mean nothing. You ready? It don't mean nothing to me that Gideon them are by Harad, and that the Midianites are there by Moreh, and they're in the valley. What it says to me when I asked the question when I was reading, God, why this? This is what I came up with. Gary, you need to know that God not only knows where you are, but God knows where your enemies are as well. See, a lot of times we think that when folk are trying to build and get up and raise against us, that God is clueless about it. No, God knows, a matter of fact, how many they are. He knows their name, he knows their nationality, he knows their face, he knows their weapon of choice, he knows their warfare, he knows their tactic, he knows their skill craft. God knows everything about your enemy just like he knows everything about you.
Amen.
And that ought to give us consolation that when God gives us an assignment, God already knows who we're facing and he knows what their abilities are. Yet he says to Gideon that you will save the people and I will deliver the Midianites into your hands. God would never set us up for failure. God would never set us on an assignment that we cannot complete. God would never give us anything to do that we would lose at.
Amen.
So while you're complaining about who they are, God is saying to you, I already know. I picked them out. I chose them. I will use them. And I will show you victory. I can go home now. Because you need to know that whatever we're up against, that God has already determined our outcome. It doesn't mean that we're not going to get into bruises. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have any headaches. It does not mean that we're not going to cry. It does not mean that we're not going to bleed. It does not mean that we're not going to have any pitfalls. But what it does mean that if you got the audacity to get up from your mess, you got the audacity to get up from your failures, then you will have victory in the end. Never measure one mistake as an entire mission. It's only a process of elimination. That was the first thing I saw. But what you need to know and remember is this. The Midianites are on the side, on the hillside, the north side of the Midianites, of the Israelites. But they're on the hill, by the hill, in the valley. They think that they're just camping out, having a good time. But the positioning of people is very important. I'll get to that point a little bit later. The other thing that I realized that when God says to Gideon, he says to them that as they gather together, he says to Gideon, what we read, Gideon, you're going to save the people by your hand, and I'm going to deliver the Midianites into your hand. Now, let me stop here. Thank you, Tommy, for reminding me. Let me tell you something. Y'all looking like, okay, what did Tommy say? I looked at Tommy and I realized something. We started this series out telling you that we were going to really share with you a revelation that we have. And we were going to talk about the elephant in the room. And that we needed to have some conversation as a family so that we can lift the cloud and we're able to move forward together, sharing and knowing the same thing. Did we not? I also said to you that this is a very sensitive conversation. Nonetheless, it's a conversation that we need to have. Because we need to be encouraged that God knows everything that he needs to know. And God also knows what we need to know. Okay? So, what we've been doing is been talking among ourselves. Some of it has been around me and some of it has been to me. But we haven't had this conversation together. Okay? So there is an elephant in the room and we need to address that. And this is what this particular sermon series really is about, is that elephant that everybody sees but nobody's talking about it. Okay? And that's often what we do in family and what we do at work and what we do everywhere else. We see things, but nobody really wants to talk about it. Everybody says this, it's not my problem, it ain't got nothing to do with me. Well, I ain't gonna be the one. And we are afraid of looking at it face on. God says to Gideon, Gideon, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go back to the camp. I need you to say to the people, everybody that is fearful and afraid, go to the house. Your numbers are too big. Well, God says to Gideon, your numbers are too big for me. Now for us, we like to have a big posse. We like to have a big old entourage. But what God is saying to Gideon is, what I'm preparing to do in the history of Israel, you have too many people with you. Now what are you saying, Reverend? This is what I'm saying. Oftentimes, what we like to do is tell everybody what's going on in our life. We like to have the right connection with the right folk in our lives, as though the more people we tell about it, the greater our chances are. God is saying, no, that ain't the way I want to do this thing. But I need you to understand that while you are upset with some folk because they've decided that what you are talking about, being an entrepreneur, opening a business, about your dream that God has given you, that you are going to succeed. You're talking this faith talk, and you're looking at it like, man, it's going to happen. And they're looking at you like, dude, are you really crazy? And if it does happen, they don't want to be there through the process. They want to be there when it's over. When I said this morning, and what I'm saying to you as a church, stop being upset with folk when they walk out of your life. When people leave you, stop being mad with folk. Some folk are afraid to go where you are going. Some folk are afraid to join your own passages that you are taking. Some folk don't want to be talked about. Some folk don't want to take risks. Some folk don't want to put it out there that, listen, I'm with you, ride or die. Some folk just don't want to be that invested. It's nice to show up at a family reunion when everybody in the family paid. But you know they're going to bring some kids and some other ones and friends that ain't paid. They missed all the beats and they showed up with all their folk in to-go place. Your family like mine. I got some folks that's going to pay their $25, but they're going to bring 3 to-go plates. And before they drink a soda, they're going to put a 6-pack in their purses. They're going to send stuff to the car before they sit down and enjoy it. And then they ain't talking about the friends that they brought with them. Girl, come on, go with me. We having a family. You know that every adult is supposed to pay $25. And your friends included. And we get so mad. And then we look at the event. Was it not a success? Even without their money, you probably, instead of getting the whole spoon, you got a half a spoon of food. But the event was successful. What I'm trying to get us to understand is that when we have less, it makes us pray and depend on God and trust God more. Rather than being angry with folk, you need to start saying thank you to those people who walked out. That you didn't have them in your ear discouraging you along the way, complaining all along the way about what we ain't got, this girl, you ought to try this and all of that, but I ain't never seen it done. I don't need that kind of weight with me. If you don't believe what I'm talking about, thank God you had the courage to walk away. I'm glad that your fear came in over you and said, listen, this is the way I get off it because I don't need all the extra weight. We got to learn to be thankful for God ordering things in our lives rather than us trying to hold on to things and people that are afraid to go where we're going. Gideon, there are too many for me. God, what you mean is too many for me? God said for me it's too many. Now we talking about we fight God's battle. And we on God on the Lord's side. I'm on the battlefield. You got to learn that when people fall out, they can't stop God. When God has made a promise, I don't care how many people walk away. I don't care how many people sideline. They cannot prevent God's hand. I can't stress this enough. Let me tell you something. When Trustmark say no, Region say no, Bancorp Sound. Bancorp say no. Community Bank say no. Liberty Bank say no. Credit Union. And when you keep on trying and somebody finances it, all God really said was, I think that this was a better relationship over here for you than all those other institutions were. I'm getting ready to hit the thing on the head in a second. The reason God say I don't need all these folk, Betty, is this. When you have a whole bunch of folk with you, or you have certain folk with you, they will have a tendency to tell you, you remember what I did for you? The only reason you ride in there and got that is because I helped you. What God tells Gideon is you got too many folk. If you got too many folk, the Israelite will say it's by our hands rather than God's hands. You know you would have folk to tell you, well, if it wasn't for me, Your glory still is. Girl, if I hadn't have been there, they would have been at a total loss. We might have been lost to God sent the other angel.
Amen. Glory.
And when you've done all you can do to stand, what you do? But don't ever let a Negro think that they all live in a bag of chips. Don't you ever get to think that you gonna stop God. When God has promised, God will fulfill. Y'all got quiet over here. It's all right. What God has promised, God will do. And if you don't want to be on my team when it happens, and if folk don't want to be on your team when it happens, let them go, but God is still going to perform. But we have to realize this. Watch this. We live in a social media world. When folk fade off your team, don't think they ain't stalking your page. Can I say what I want to say? Can I say what I want to say? And if people walk out of your life on a dream that you shared and they couldn't believe in it, and folk walked away on you because they said, man, ain't no way in the world, you keep on posting your celebration moments. So man, not only did God bless me with a house, he gave me land. Then he gave me a car. Then he gave me a good interest rate. Then he gave me some. Just keep on talking about the blessing. And then when God keep on blessing you, said, man, and because these person believed in me, I shared $500 with each one of them. You know what they're going to do, don't you? I quit too soon. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. What God needs you to understand and what God needs you to realize is that you don't have to have big numbers for him to do what he's going to do. And I think what you need to understand is this, that God don't want you upset with folk because they decided not to go with you the distance. Now this is what I need to share with you. And maybe I should have said this earlier when I was on this tangent. But the elephant in the room is this. The elephant in the room is this, that when we first came to Cathedral, I want you to understand, at 8 o'clock service, man, the pews was just about over. I want you to look around. You all that came to 11:30 service, y'all weren't always full, but you hit and miss here and there. But I want you to know that this is the elephant, that the numbers are down. We might as well, let's be honest, because we've been talking about this. And we've been talking about it among ourselves. We haven't come and sat down with me yet to talk about it. But I want you to know I see what you see. And I hope you remember what I told you the prelude to this message was, that there was a revelation that came to me, and I need to give you this revelation. We need to understand that just because people have decided to stop coming to Target and start going to Walmart and going over to Fred's and going over to the Dollar Tree and going over to Dollar General, we ain't got to be mad with them. Because what they need is no longer on aisle 3, or that is no longer there because they have changed their appetite. We don't be mad with folk about that kind of stuff. You thank God that lives were connected for the time that they were connected, and you thank God that they found a place to go get what they need for themselves to be sustained in this Christian walk. We ought to celebrate folk for those choices. But we're not supposed to be in a position that we look at who walked away and we're saying, woe is us. When God allowed Gideon to speak to the people and say to them, everybody that is afraid and fearful, you're free to go. Guess what ended up happening? Out of 32,000 folk, 22,000 walked away. 22,000 people walked away. But notice what God did. God told Gideon, let them leave free will. Don't be mad with the ones that decide that I'm already afraid of the vision. Don't let them walk. Don't be mad with those that say, I can't go any farther than this. Don't be mad with those folks because they say, my appetite has changed. God is saying, you shall be saved and you shall have the Midianites delivered in your hands. It doesn't make a difference who walk away. What we've got to learn to do is stay with the promise. I'm concluding here in the sermon. When I first came to Cathedral, and we started talking about this, and a few years ago we started talking about this some more, I said to the Board of Stewards that our number is up to 400,000. That's our core group. 400. That's our group. We're there. I'm not disturbed that the numbers have fallen. When I got disturbed at first, I was reminded, were you not praying to me that I would separate the folk from you that you feel that are not really with you? Did you not pray and ask that for the people that are not committed or fully committed to it, that God, you would help to sort it out and arrange it? I had to be reminded that I was asking God, say, hey God, we need a core number and we need to know where we need to start building forward. I always have confessed that when we get to the up to 400 number, that's our core group and we're ready now to launch. Let me give you a little piece. For several weeks, we have already formed what we call a focus group. The focus group has already been meeting. We've already been talking about this. We've already been talking about what we need to do and some ideas of things that need to happen. Because this didn't catch us on the blind side. We already knew this and we were already having the conversations. But I don't want the church to lose heart and say, well, man, we get ready to close. No, God never going to close on a promise. God's never going to close on a promise. So I need you to know that, listen, God, he will take care of us. Because I was getting disturbed too. I said, God, we got a $150,000 project going on in this gym. We're talking about building a sanctuary. God, we're talking about doing these kinds of things and so forth on. God, what? I mean, we need the people. And God began to settle and say, wait a minute, you don't know what you've been praying and asking. If God packed this house and God did what God said he's going to do, you know, we'll say, look at what us did. Or when God brings the numbers down and the credit look like it ain't going to happen, or then, oh man, I don't know how it's going to come together. God said, now see, you know I did it. I want to stop right here, but I want to make it more relational to you. Don't you worry about all the folk at work being on your side. Stand with right and stand righteously. And God will take care of the rest. You might be the only one standing, but stay with the promises that God has made to you. 22,000 people walked away. God said, let them go. When folk are afraid to go your pathway, you don't want that fear around you, because fear will either paralyze you or it will stagnate you. It'll slow progress down. So you'd rather have those people who are not certain gone. You'd rather have those people who are afraid gone than to have them with you and you got to carry them in yourselves. I'm encouraging you. Don't be upset with people. Love them to life. If people walk out, when you see them, hug them, kiss them, love them, treat them kind. If you can do a favor, do a favor. Bless them any way you can. Because this is the thing we need to know when I'm done. I told you on the morning, Jumpstart Your Morning on Wednesday. I told you all once that a just man falls 7 times till he rises. And the Bible says in that particular verse of Proverbs, it says, do not make a mockery of your enemy when they fall. At least God shall consider them. What God is saying, don't you laugh at folk. Even your enemies, don't you laugh at them. Because I love my enemies just like I love my children. And the hope of God's glory is that even the enemies will be saved. We have to be careful. This is what I need you to know. And I know some of this is kind of alarming to you all. And you're probably saying, wait a minute, man. Wait a minute. And I know what people are putting in your ears. Know what they're saying. But I want you to understand this. God's going to take care of us. God's going to take care of us. God's going to take care of us. I have been almost broke in my life. And God showed the daily provisions I'll do until you get on your feet. I've been to the place I didn't know where the next help was going to come from. But God always had a ram in the bush. I want you to know that God has no respect of person. What he's done for one, he'll do for another. Trust him in the place that you are. Trust him in the place that you are. God will. It's my time. I'm stopping here. I'm picking up next week with the part, because there's more to this that we need to understand. Amen. There is no need